students, I want to continue the theories of biological evolution. Already I discussed two theories, one the Darwinian concept, another one the Lamarckian concept. The third one, the mutation theory. Now the term mutation was given by Hugo de Vries. He only coined the term mutation. And also theory of mutation or the mutation theory also presented by the same person, Hugo de Vries, a Dutch botanist in 1901. Now he carried out experiments in the case of a plant by name evening primrose. The name of the plant, Enothera lamarckiana. He carried out experiments in that plant and found variations in these plants. And he made it clear that these variations occurred through mutation. But before his analysis of mutation, the mutation was first observed by a person by the name that is Seyfried. He was the first person observed mutation, but he didn't elaborate it further. He observed mutation in the case of one breed of sheep. The name of the sheep, Ancon breed of sheep. In one generation, all of a sudden, he observed short-lived lambs, and he just made it clear that this is because of a sudden change. He didn't know it is because of mutation. He simply defined that one as a sudden change. So it was the first observation made. Next, only what we have, Hugo de Vries made observation in the case of evening primrose, Enothera lamarckiana. Now, later after Hugo de Vries, mutation was also studied and observed in the case of Drosophila melanogaster, the fruit fly, by T.H. Morgan, and he confirmed the mutation theory. So after Hugo de Vries, the mutation theory was confirmed by T.H. Morgan while studying in the case of Drosophila, the fruit fly. Now, according to Darwin, he defined mutation as force of nature. Some play that happen in nature, this is because of the effect of nature, some changes took place. He called it as force of nature. Another person by name Bateson, he defined mutation as discontinuous variations. The meaning for that one, if we are taking a particular pair of characters, between the two extremes, there are no intermediate stages. That is called discontinuous variations. If you are taking the height of the plant tall and dwarf, between these two varieties, there are no intermediates. Then we can say the variations are called discontinuous variations. The continuous variations we already studied, for example, that is a skin color or polygenic inheritance in the case of human skin color. That is an example for continuous variations. The organism which undergoes mutation is called as a mutant variety. So nowadays we have received a number of mutant varieties, both harmful and useful varieties. So it is being applied in the case of plants to produce new varieties through mutations. So these are some of the basic principles what you have related to the mutation theory, some of the persons related to it. Now what is mutation? See, if you are defining mutation, we have to define in terms of words. I will define it. What is mutation? Mutation can be defined as a sudden, large, random, discontinuous and heritable change that occurs in a population. So without any notification, a change occurs in the phenotype of an organism. That's why it's called sudden. Large, without any intermediate stages, all of a sudden, because of macrogenesis, single step large mutation occur, leading to the formation of a new species, hence called as a large. Random, the mutation that occurs in any direction, it is directionless, that's why it's called as random. Discontinuous, there are no intermediate stages between the two, that is extremities, that's why it's called as discontinuous variations. And heritable, those variations are transmitted to the next generation, hence called heritable change. So I mentioned already the person Hugo de Vries carried out, that is experimental analysis in the case of evening primrose, Lamarckiana and find out variations in these organisms because of mutation. Okay, now what are the differences between the Lamarckian and Darwinian concept to that of mutation theory? And specifically I want to make differences between the Darwinian concept and what we call the De Vries concept, that is the mutation theory. Now let's see the differences between the natural selection theory as proposed by Darwin and the mutation theory proposed by De Vries. Number 1. According to Darwinism, evolution results due to gradual accumulation of small fluctuating variations in course of time or over time. For a longer duration it took place. Okay, evolution results because of gradual accumulation of small fluctuating variations. In the book it was given all, it is not all, small fluctuating variations over time. And according to this mutation theory, within a short period of time, evolution results due to either sudden jump. One organism gets converted into another organism, and that is called saltation, jumping, or because of single step large mutation, which is called macrogenesis. Suppose you are taking individual A, it gets converted into, that is individual B. This is because of a single step large mutation without any intermediates. It gets converted to A species, gets converted to B species because of the modifications. That is called either saltation or macrogenesis. The second one, the variations are always small. Accumulation of variations only resulted in new species, that is called evolution. Variations are small and directional. It is occurring in a particular direction, starting from here, ending here. But in the case of mutations, the variations are always large. That's why I said large. And also random. So it occurs in any direction. The variations occur in any direction. This is according to, that is De Vries, and this one according to Darwin. So variations are large, random and directionless. It occurs in any directions. Now between the two extremities, we have intermediate stages of form. So we have continuous variations, we can say. If we are taking skin color in human, skin color, we have different shades of skin color. One negro, then we have the black, then we have mulatto, then we have the light variety, and finally white. Now the two extremities are, this is one negro and white. According to the Darwinian concept, during the course of evolution, even if you are taking the evolution of horses, there are different stages starting from Eohippus, Mesohippus, Merchippus, Pleohippus, and also Equus cavernus. So, as per the Darwinian concept, we have intermediate varieties of form. So, these are the two extremities, negro and white, between which we have different shades of skin color, and they are considered as intermediate varieties. But in the case of mutation theory, there are no intermediate varieties of form. Suppose you are taking the height of the plant in garden pea plant. There are two extremes. One extreme we have tall, another extreme we have dwarf. So this is called discontinuous variation. That is why Bateson coined or called mutation as discontinuous variations. Here there are no intermediate stages, and the two extremes we have one variety tall and dwarf another variety without any intermediate stages. And this is a concept proposed by De Vries in relation to the mutation theory. But here you see that one, this is called continuous variations, and that one is called discontinuous variations. So the variations are discontinuous according to the mutation theory. The variations are continuous according to the Darwinian concept. So these are the main three differences you can make for answering 3 marks question. Now we have to go for the salient features of mutation theory. What are the salient features of mutation theory as proposed by De Vries? We have to discuss. Now, Normally the mutations here are otherwise called discontinuous variations. So the mutations or discontinuous variations are transmitted from one generation to another generation because they are heritable variations, not non-heritable, heritable variations. Now in the naturally breeding populations, not artificial one, naturally breeding populations, it occurs from time to time, at any time it occurs in a naturally breeding population. There is no time limit for that one. Then no intermediate stages are formed. As I mentioned already, as in the case of, for example, tall and Doppler, there are no intermediate stages. So it is an example for discontinuous variations. And here it is fully pledged. The meaning without any intermediate stages, in one step jumping to another step. That is called fully pledged. No intermediate stages are formed. Now they are strictly subjected to natural selection. Though variations are caused in the genetic materials, it is a nature which selects or which favors the individuals with favorable genetic changes and eliminated those individuals without any favorable genetic variations. That is the meaning. They are strictly though mutation causes variations. Such variations, though not caused by natural selection, they are normally selected by nature, whether to just actually favor or to eliminate. That is why you can say it is strictly subjected to natural selection. I mentioned already the mutations always occur at random. That means directionless. Any direction mutation occurs at any time. At any time, any direction, we have the mutations. So these are some of the salient features of mutation theory or mutation we can say. So we have to pass on to the next one, the fourth one, modern synthetic theory. Another theory in support of biological evolution, the modern synthetic theory, the most accepted theory of evolution. It is a modified form of Darwinism. So it was prepared and supported by a number of scientists. Sewall Wright, he was known for genetic drift, we'll talk about later. Simpson, that is evolutionary species concept. Fisher, Huxley, Haeckel, Mayer, Theodor Dostoevsky. He is considered as a founder of modern synthetic theory. He contributed much when compared to other people. He wrote a book, the name of the book Genetics and Origin of Species in 1937. Another person, G.L. Stebbins, he also contributed to this modern synthetic theory. He wrote a book, Process of Organic Evolution in 1971. So, they normally explain the natural selection theory through what we call the post-Devonian discoveries. Various discoveries and facts have been made, I mentioned already, that resulted in the formation of modern synthetic theory, somewhat a modified form of Devonian concept. Now, according to these people, according to the modern synthetic theory, there are 5 basic factors responsible for organic evolution. What are the 5 basic factors responsible for organic evolution? Number 1, the gene mutation, also called by name point mutation. Then chromosomal mutation. The third one, genetic recombination. That's a regular process. The natural selection, along with the reproductive isolation. So reproductive isolation for a longer duration resulted in the formation of a new species. That's a concept of speciation. Okay, this is about what we call modern synthetic theory, the introductory part. What are the people who are involved in this activity? I mentioned about the names and also names of the books. Now we have to go for one by one. What is gene mutation? How is it responsible for the organism to evolve? Okay, one by one, let's see. Factor number 1, the one responsible for, that is organic evolution. in the modern synthetic theory. Gene mutation or point mutation. You know that what genes are coding for proteins. The proteins are responsible for the expression of the phenotype. So, what is gene mutation or point mutation? A change in the structure of the gene. As a result, a normal protein will not be produced. That alters the phenotype of an organism that leads to variations in the offspring. That's a role played by gene mutation. Now the second one, chromosomal mutation. Change in structure of the chromosomes is called chromosomal mutation, change in structure. The change in structure is caused by either deletion or duplication or addition or inversion or translocation. So I already studied the chromosomal aberrations. Change in structure of chromosome is caused either because of the deletion when a part of the chromosome is lost, or one sequence of gene is being present twice, that is called duplication, addition of genes, inversion. The chromosome is rotated to 180 degree or inverted 180 degree, as a result the sequence of genes have been changed, or translocation, shifting of a segment of chromosome from one homologous member to another homologous, that is chromosome. That is called translocation. So these are all the different methods by which chromosomal mutations or change in structure of the chromosomes occur. When change in structure, ultimately what will happen, as in the case of gene mutation, there is an alteration in the phenotype which results or which causes variations in the offspring. That is the second one. Now these are all actually taking place at a rare instance. Either gene mutation or chromosome mutation, they occur at a rare instance. Whereas the genetic recombination is a regular process. Genetic recombination is a regular process. It results due to crossing over. Crossing over. When? During meiosis. So, because of crossing over during meiosis 1, particularly you know that one prophase 1, what will happen? Recombination of the genes occurs. Different combinations of genes are produced. Even in the case of, you see that one, we can get 4 different types of gametes and diabetic cross other than Mendelian cases. Okay, that is called genetic recombination. It occurs during meiosis as a result of crossing over. Now, such genetic recombinations is a regular process, normally occurring only in the case of sexually reproducing organisms. This brings about genetic changes or genetic variations in the individuals of a population. The results are leading to variations in the offspring. That is called genetic recombination. Now, what is the role of natural selection in modern synthetic theory? Now, natural selection does not cause any genetic changes. But once changes occur in the genetic material, it is the one which either favors individuals with useful genetic changes or eliminate those organisms with that is harmful genetic changes. So, natural selection is the main event that selects the right type of individuals with the useful genetic variations or changes, and eliminate those individuals which are having harmful genetic changes. But it doesn't produce any genetic changes, only selecting the right type of individuals with the correct genetic changes. That's about natural selection. Reproductive isolation. So the main purpose of reproductive isolation, when 2 individuals are present at the same niche or in the same ecological habitat, for example one tiger, one lion, it prevents what is called interbreeding. It prevents interbreeding between the individuals of different species, between the individuals of the different species. Now, genetic recombination normally occurs between the individuals of the same species, but here interbreeding, breeding between different species. For example, tiger and lion present in the same ecological habitat. Now, the reproductive isolation, separation of the individuals by reproduction. That's the meaning for reproductive isolation. No interbreeding, no cross occurs between a lion and tiger. That is because of that one, the species nature is maintained. Now there are different methods of reproductive isolation. Some reproductive isolations occur before mating. That is called pre-mating isolating mechanisms. It's an example of ecological factors or seasonal factors or temporal factors. Then ecological factors, mechanical isolation, gametic isolation. These are some of the isolating mechanisms that took place before reproduction. And after reproduction also we have some isolating mechanisms in reproduction. For example, hybrid inviability, hybrid sterility, hybrid breakdown. So these are all the reproductive isolation methods that occur after mating, preventing the individuals to survive. If a cross occurs, for example, the better example, you know that one, a cross between a male dog and a female horse that resulted in another mule, but it's sterile. This is called hybrid sterility or hybrid breakdown. A cross occurs between a lion and tiger. We have got either ligon or there's a tigon or liger, and these individuals affected, when cross is affected either between liger or tigon, then no individual will be sterile. That's called hybrid breakdown. It's not necessary, already studied something about an 11th standard. Anyway, so we have post-mating isolating mechanisms, pre-mating isolating mechanisms. Which type of isolating mechanism is favored by natural selection? Now, natural selection tends to favor individuals with the pre-mating isolating mechanisms. Pre-mating isolating mechanism. Individuals with the pre-mating isolating mechanisms. So, individuals with the pre-mating isolating mechanisms are favored or selected by natural selection, and individuals with the post-mating isolating mechanisms under this category, reproductive isolation, are eliminated. That's the nature of the natural selection, favoring just individuals with the pre-mating isolating mechanisms and eliminating those individuals with the post-mating isolating mechanisms like hybrid sterility, hybrid inviability, or hybrid breakdown, etc. So these are all the different components that are responsible for the survival of the organism. These are all nothing but a modified form of natural selection theory as proposed by the different people what I mentioned. So these are all the basic 5 factors responsible for organic evolution, supported by different people. They are also called as neo-Darwinians or modern synthetic theory people. So that's about the 4th one. So with that I concluded the 4 different types of theories in support of organic or biological evolution. Lamarckian theory, then Darwinian theory, the 3rd one what we have, the mutation theory, the last one, modern synthetic theory. Of all the 4 theories, the most accepted theory is the modern synthetic theory. Okay, so with this I concluded the different types of theories in support of biological evolution. We'll pass on to the next one in the next class.